Hi, and welcome to a Minnesota Banking Minute. My name's Jay Tamarino with the Minnesota Bankers Association, and today we're lucky enough to have Charlie Kelly from Remedy Consulting. And we want to talk a little bit about the technology needs or what we're seeing out in the technology needs going back out to your customers at the bank. So, Charlie, can you just explain benchmarking or what that means when it comes to core banking technology?
Sure. So we think of benchmarking kind of on two sides of the equation. We think that a bank should benchmark their usage. And by usage, I mean, these days it seems like digital usage is a pretty important topic out there. Who's using their tools? What are they using them for? How active are they? And we know there's a correlation between usage and spend. So the more your tools they use, if you have their primary account, they spend more with you. So what we've kind of learned in the industry on the usage side is that a lot of times banks don't know whether they have not only really what their spend is entirely, but what their return on investment is. What are they getting for the purposes of, if they get people to use their tools, what's it worth to them? Why would they care? And it's a really interesting dynamic because these are bankers, right? I mean, you think money is their thing, right? So you would think that a return on, if I'm going to spend some dollars over here, what am I getting back over here would be pretty important to them.
So why is it important to benchmark your contact and rates?
Yeah. So when we think about rates, I think about it this way: if you are a banker and you're 500 million in assets and you have a batch of tools, and that batch of tools is core, e-commerce, and debit card, let's just say, right? You'd want to know whether or not the guy next door that's also 500 million in assets, your competition, is paying more or less than you do. So think about it, like buying a car. There's no Kelley Blue Book in core rates. There's no really Kelley Blue Book in core contracts. So what we always think about is after spending quite a few years at a vendor, I realized they actually have a Kelley Blue Book, and most bankers do not, right? So they can chart your rates, they can chart your terms and conditions, and they know what you pay compared to every other customer in their portfolio of a similar size for the same tools. As a banker, you don't have that ability to do that, right? You don't have the knowledge and that information. So, right up front, a lot of times the bankers are at a disadvantage because they don't have the ability to compete at that level with somebody who sees just so many of them. So, we think of when we think about it from an expense perspective, we say, here is how you should be benchmarking that so you know where you are compared to the guy next door, for lack of a better term.
So with all that being said, with all the different providers that are out there, what's the one piece of advice that you would give to banks, and what would it be?
Oh, that's a good question. To me, it seems like the vendors that are moving these days seem to be heading in a down a sales path. In other words, what used to be a client partner has become a salesperson. So, if after having worked at a vendor and now working on the other side where I have bank clients, and as I see the way the world seems to be morphing, it seems to be fewer and fewer client partners because that's an expense for the vendors, and more sales objectives for those client partners. So they became a salesperson, and what they should be doing, in my opinion, is they should be providing advice. They should be doing things like benchmarking. They should be doing specifically on the usage side. I mean, probably the best sales guys I have ever seen used to come in and just provide information when he would visit. He wasn't trying to sell them anything. He would say, this is what's going on in the universe, right? Here's what you should be thinking about. Whether you buy something from me or not, I don't know. I'm trying to help you run your bank better. And in my opinion, it used to be quite a bit more in that direction when the vendors would fund this a little heavier. They had, it was a fewer client to client partner ratio, right? You didn't have 40 clients you were trying to support as a client partner. You had maybe 10. Now those numbers are going up and up because it's an expense for the vendors to have too many client partners out there. And it just seems like, if I were running one of these vendors, I would probably say, you might be more profitable. You might actually sell more if you had more kind of feet on the street and more, you paid the bankers a little more attention.
Charlie, interesting conversation today. Absolutely loved it. I'm sure it was good information for our bankers. Uh, Again, thank you for joining the MBA, and we'll catch you next time on a Minnesota Banking Minute.